Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, as always, sponsored by Premier Lending. I'm Devin Dubuc,
And I'm Coach Rick Koenig.
and we're here just to give you guys all kinds of trouble and teach you nothing because that's what we're great at. Or, or maybe it's exactly the opposite, right? We want to help you, find those success strategies in any market. And what a crazy market we're in right now, Coach. I know we were talking in the green room, and you had a topic that you wanted to bring up. So let's say we said it was going to be a mystery day. What's the mystery, Coach? What are we talking about?
I think the mystery is there's a lot of people out there wondering what's happening with their companies. We've gone through 3+ years now of rates being up. We've gone through companies that have had to right size and downsize. And there's still companies that maybe haven't gotten to the point that they need to be at because, last year in May, they were predicting rates were going to go down and we were going to have this huge refi binge and the world was going to save everybody out there. And, going into this year, we've got stuff going on that probably needs to be done, things that the administration's doing to try to fix problems in the economy and trade balances and stuff that's been going on for years and years. And it's thrown some real turbulation into the markets, including the mortgage market. And so I thought a kind of a cool topic today would be what's happening with M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and how, if your company's one of those companies going through it, or you think they're going through it, or you're just one of those people out there looking for a new company, what should you be looking out for if your company possibly is being bought or sold or shopped? And that was what I thought. I thought it'd be a little different.
Yeah, well, lots of peaks and valleys, in the industry over the last several years. And, here's the deal, we're old timers, right? I'm 23 years in. Coach, how long you been doing this?
34, 33.
So you're just getting started, you know? And, at the end of the day, we've seen a lot of troubled markets, right? But I will tell you, in my 23 years of experience, this is one of the most difficult that we've seen, right? Maybe the '08 crash would be the closest rival. But this has been a tough one for a lot of people, right?
Oh yeah. And the '08 crash was a little different. We still had people buying and selling homes. We had a lot of people that got overextended and utilized programs that probably shouldn't be available. But never during 9, 10, 11, 12 did I feel like, I wasn't running with a torch and telling people to follow me that I had the
Yeah.
way to go. I can understand some of the brokers back then not knowing which way the industry was going, and I'm sure the mortgage bankers benefited from that. But, both groups settled in, and now here we are in, 2025. We're 17 years past 2008. It's
Yeah.
almost crazy to think there's people in our industry that were barely in grade school, when that happened. And when we talk about 2008, we may as well be talking about 2042. It's the same distance apart.
Yeah, that's true.
But the mergers and acquisition thing that's going on, a lot of times you're in an industry where you just said old dogs. I'm an old dog for sure. This was my second career, so I'm in my mid 60s. There's a lot of owners of companies that have been around for a long time.
And damn handsome for being
Yeah,
in your mid 60s, by the way.
we look good today in our all white, don't we? Yeah, this was unplanned.
We did not coordinate this. It just happened, right? That's the universe talking.
Yeah. And a lot of these owners are looking for the exit strategy.
Yeah.
And so you've got companies that are out there, and then you've got companies that are buying other companies for their retail divisions and for their servicing platforms. And where's that going? So, my thought is if you're one of the people that's out there and your company's going through an acquisition right now, what traditionally happens? And if you look at some of the M&A over the last 4 years, let's say even 3 and 2 years, what you're seeing a lot of times is the company that is being purchased, it seems like about 75% of the time, they are going to literally gut the operational staff
Yeah.
because both companies were already in a position where, they have lots of excess capacity. and they bring on this other retail operation, they don't need all the operational people. And so you're seeing branch managers that are taking their whole team over. They're pretty safe as long as they're producers, but they might be losing processors, underwriters, closing departments, and even marketing departments. And so waiting around till the end sometimes isn't always the best thing.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I tell people, and I think this is my tagline on my emails, it says, if you don't look deeply into a company, you're only making a change, you're not making a career decision. And if you're given the opportunity because of a buyout to go out there and shop your wares and, kind of play free agent, you ought to do that. And even if you have a manager or a regional manager that's out there shopping for you, and I'm going to say that with air quotes, shopping for you,
Yeah.
not
Are
every
they really
manager,
shopping for you, right?
yeah, are they really shopping for you? And I know there's teams that have been together 12, 15, 18 years that are going through these type of things right now.
That's right.
But is that regional manager doing what's best for you? Or did they work out the best deal for them and it'll be good for you? And it probably would be good for you. There's a lot of good companies out there.
There are.
I came to Premier Lending after coaching the owner of Premier Lending, Ferris Farage, after a couple years because I saw the model, I understood the model, and it was one of the best models I had seen.
Yeah.
But do you know that as an employee or as a manager that, is your manager shopping for the best deal for the whole team? And is your regional manager?
Yeah.
And if you can keep the whole team together and nobody loses their job and they keep making income and you guys keep going well, then you probably made a good decision. But there's nothing wrong with going out and taking that look because you are making a career decision. You're not just making a move.
Yeah, it's just that, it's one of those markets where, make sure that you're aligning yourself with the system that's going to work the best for you too, right? Because when you're looking at different lenders out there, one of the things that you really have to peel back the curtains and make sure that, you're going through the layers is, do they have the right product opportunity for what you're doing in your business, right? At the end of the day, you and I have repped a few different companies in our career. I've always been
Mhm.
pretty loyal, decades in with most businesses that I've worked for, but when you get into a market like this, one of the things that you've got to ask yourself is, what are my agents asking for, right? Like, what kind of tools do they need me to have for their success? Because making that transition can actually be a positive for you, right? If you align yourself with a team that's bringing you tools that you don't have today, this could be a big wow factor for your agents because they already love you. They love the way you do business, right? But at the end of the day, you may be missing that one product that you don't have in your portfolio. And now all of a sudden you transition over to, another lender that has that product. They don't have to take that to John Q down the block. They get to keep it with you, right? And that's really important because, we want to make sure that the parties that we're serving can shop right here with you, right? That's number one. They don't have to go, man, I used Coach Rick for this, and this, but I got to go over here for this because he just doesn't have it. Or he does have it, but he's got to broker it out and it takes longer and it's just not the greatest, experience for my customer. So, I've got to farm those things out. So, make sure that you're looking at that. And even if you've got a great branch manager, like Rick said, if you're doing a large team move, look at your personal product mix and make sure that the company that they're looking at transitioning to is going to be a great move for you so that you don't have to restart and rebuild. In fact, what you really want it to do is complement what you already have so you can take yourself to that next level and just be even more resourceful for the people that you do business with.
Yeah, and the other thing is, what is the back office like? Like in our case, we
Mhm.
know that you've been coached, you thoroughly bought into the coaching you received and the model. You've helped institute that model within the company to help the loan officers that want to take advantage of it to take advantage of
That's
it.
right.
So if you're a branch manager and you're just trying to manage and you're a producer, you know, are you able to hold your team accountable? If you're looking for a company that has the tools to teach them how to maybe grow their business 25, 50% or more, you know, how am I going to do that when I'm already originating and oh my gosh, I'm learning everything new like you are? Well,
Yeah.
that's where a company like Premier has somebody like you that's built the model to assist that manager to help their team grow, and we're not charging them for it. It's part of the
No, it's
package.
just part of the package, right? At the end of the day, we want to pour into the people that, they're here to help make them more successful because their success is our success, right? And so instead of saying, hey, you need to figure this out on your own, let me show you how we did that. And by the way, let's just do it for you, right? Let's work together. Let's collaborate on that so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting and we can show you the way. And whether that's, CRM build out or systems and formats or making sure that you've got smooth processes from start to finish, building pre-approval specialists and training them how to be able to provide the best service for your team members. We've got all these different tools that we can use, but let's go back to this, making a decision thing real quick, right? I'm going to reverse engineer this because there's a question we like to ask a lot of people when they come to us, and that's, hey, what's the top three things that your current lender brought you last year to help you move your business in a positive direction, right? Well,
Yeah.
guess what? That's not excluded to us, right? That's a question you can ask too, right? So when you're talking to, the people that you're aligning with, and you're considering making that transitions, ask them that question. Hey, what are the top three things that you brought your originators last year that helped really move the needle in their business? See what they tell you
Yeah.
because that's a bold question. And if the answer is, oh, we got this and we got this, and it's, you know, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, and everybody's got it, well, that's not a big mover, right? But if it's like, hey, we did this last year and it helped launch our loan originators and our branch managers by increasing their percentage of business by this. And as a result of that, we're now having bigger successes than we ever had, right? Well, that's the kind of answer that you're looking for, right? How are we moving the needle to make people more successful? One you always like to say, we're not going to name any name. We had a branch manager that came over to us and was having a difficult time with their P&L, right? They just couldn't find a way to get it profitable. And coach, I'm going to let you fill in the blanks on this one because you tell the story really well.
Well, there's been two or three operations that these people had been in the business 5, 10, and even 20 years, and no company or manager or regional had ever taught them to really how to run a P&L, how
Yeah.
to run their own company. And, in our case, Ferris Farage was able to sit down, we let them go for 90 days, and then we said, okay, here's
Something's
what
got
we
to fix.
yeah, there's some stuff we need to fix. And even you've been through it with us. Hey, nobody shoves something down your throat, but hey, let's look at where we are, what makes sense. This, and this. If we fix those, it can change things. And
That's it.
we've got two great branches now that are profitable, and that when they first came over, it could have been a disaster. And they were open, they were willing to learn, and they realized that we had their best interest at heart. And once they saw the backside and they saw what they didn't know or didn't understand, it was so important, the transparency that we have, which is why I came here, on everything from pricing to profitability to actually dealing with them on a P&L. There's managers out there that have been with companies 5 years and never had a sit down with their person on a P&L other than to say, here's how much you're losing, we got to fix that. And they don't have an idea of how to fix it or what they're going to do to get around it. You
Well,
know,
let's
where
teach you true entrepreneurship, right? Like, let's
yeah,
teach you how to be successful inside of your successful business. You're already successful. You're already doing
right.
great things. But how can we get even more money to the bottom line that's going to help you become more successful and be able to provide a better client experience for the people that you serve? And clients, by the way, the way we look at things, and that's the way, again, these are the types of things that you need to be looking for, right? The way we look at things is that your clients are your agents and your borrowers, right? That's your clients, right? Our clients are our branch managers and our loan officers, right? So effectively, our job is to make your job easier, to provide you with excellent service. It's not a rank system. Hey, you work for me and this is how you do it, right? And if you hear that in your business today, run run
Yeah.
the other way because that's not how it should be, right? You need to work with a company and align yourself with a company that is looking out for your interests and recognize the fact that you're their customer. right? And that's something you need to pay attention to, because if you start sniffing that out in those initial, conversations, that, this isn't a two-way street, it's a one-way street, and you better mind your P's and Q's, that's the wrong company, and it's so easy to get sold in a recruiting conversation, right? There's so many people out there that are going to offer you the world. You know what? Hey, can I talk to your, top five people and your lowest five people, right? I want to know what the people that work for you are saying about the business, right? Because at the end, and by the way, can I pick? I don't want you to pick, right? And then we can use, software like Redder, our buddies over there at Redder. Again, we're going to plug those guys because they're awesome, and
Yeah.
look at the numbers and see, are these loan officers really doing the volume that they say they are? And then we've got the phone number for reach right out to those loan officers and just say, hey, I'm thinking about making a move over there. I was talking to your recruiting team, and at the end of the day, I want to make sure I'm not being sold a bill of sale. Tell me the roots, right? And then call the bottom five. Why aren't you closing any loans, right? Hear their story too. Now, I don't know that I always would listen to the bottom five, right? Typically, they're not qualified to give me the right choice. But if you feel like that's what you need to do to hear the negative sides, right? Make the phone call, right? Take the
Yeah.
Pepsi challenge, so to speak. Make sure you're looking out for your best interest. Going back to, your stint in this industry and mine, I've worked for two companies now, three, right? And I've been in the industry for 23 plus years. So at the end of the day, I don't make moves that are short periods. I see some of these LOs that bounce from place to place to place to place to place. Did you ask the right questions up front? And number two, did you take a hard look in the mirror and make sure you're doing what it takes to win, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you can't blame the company, right? But if you're working for a company and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, your success is not going to happen. I had a guy that came to me a couple years back, coach, and I think we'll end with this story. And he'd been in the industry for over, I think it was over a decade at the time. And I'll date this back a little bit so that we understand, time frame. This was around 2013, 2014. And he said, Devin, I've been in the industry. I've been told a lot of different things. I always get recruited, and it's never what they tell me. And he's like, I've never been able to break six figures in my career. I was like, phew, dude, that's not good. So we sat down and I shot him straight. I said, look, here's the deal, brother. If you come over here and you can't break six figures, I'm going to have to fire you. He's like, well, it's like that. I said, yeah, because we're going to teach you how to be great. And if you can't be successful here, you need to get out of the business because it's not the right industry for you. Right. And
Yeah.
we've got people here that made six figures. We've got people here that have made seven figures in a year. Right. At the end of the day, it's what are you willing to go do? And are you going to follow the lead from the people that are training you? Because we're going to make you great. That's what it's all about. Right. Is finding leaders that are going to make you great. And that's what you got to look for. So,
Well, that's why you're here, and that's why I came here because of Ferris, and I hope that's why some of the people that have come here that I've helped recruit have come here because we're not going to lie to them. We're going to help them hold themselves accountable if they want it. If they don't
that's
want it,
it.
then they can keep doing what they're doing, and if they're happy with it, we're not going to change them. We're not going to force them. We're not going to micromanage them, but we're gonna definitely take the time and help them grow their business the right way in a sustainable long-term way. And
Yeah.
so, if you are one of those people out there and your company, you're hearing rumors and whispers, or all of a sudden the regional and some of the managers are all looking at another company and they're looking to go another way, you might love your team, you might love your group, but again, are they doing what's best for you?
Yeah.
And you should always check out the companies and the situation yourself, and even talk to a few more. And I've definitely been hearing a lot from a lot of people just in the last 60 days because of stuff that's going on in the industry. And
Yep.
there's probably going to be more this year that we weren't expecting because rates are probably going to stay fairly stable all year,
That's it.
and whether it's the economy, whether it's the corporate side, whether it's the government doing things, I don't think anybody's going to be able to do anything that changes what we're doing. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go out and get your piece, and you might have to take it away from somebody else. And to do that, you got to hold yourself responsible. And with
Align with the
Devin
right
on the
team,
team, you
right?
can do
Align with the
that.
right team. And
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you guys with this, right? At the end of the day, we've definitely talked a lot about what we do here. we'd love to have you here, right? Like we would love
Yeah.
to have you here, right? If you're that kind of person that's looking for that, we'd love to have you here. But if this isn't where you're looking for, that's okay too. Make sure you're asking these questions, right? We don't want to make it just about us, right? You've got to make sure that you're aligning yourself with a team of people that are going to make you win in today's world, right? That's what it's all about. So,
Yeah.
man, I think we've said what we had to say today, Coach. If you're out there and you are looking for the right place to land, click below, jump on our calendar, right? We'd love to talk to you. If you just want a strategy call to learn what you should be doing in your business, click below. Let us talk to you, right? And if you just love the content, man, make sure you like, subscribe, and make those comments for us. Those keep us moving, move us up in the ranks, and keep this great content coming out there. But until the next time, this is the Coach's Corner. I'm Devin Dubuc.
I'm Coach Rick Koenig.
We will see you guys on the next one.